Imagine you follow a faith tradition of a man who lived the perfect life and died for the sins of his followers. And the subsequent followers of this man also were all persecuted and tortured, put to death for their faith. Then imagine that over the course of time, society finally comes to a place where they not only accept your beliefs, they also tolerate them. But all along, because of God's word, you know that you can expect a regression and for persecution to start up again. Now, I'll be frank in that sometimes in America, we tend to romanticize the idea of being persecuted for Jesus, which can lead some to take the position of just being a jerk for Jesus, and then when someone calls them out on it, they yell out persecution. We'll be looking at a seemingly scary situation that could potentially set precedent for how Christians and followers of Jesus are allowed to express themselves in public. These situations seem to be sprouting out left and right. This makes me think of what we just covered a few weeks ago. A lady in the UK who was arrested because she could have possibly been praying in her own head. We'll be reacting to a video of a man at Mall of America being told to take off his neon Jesus Saves shirt because some people find it offensive. Digging deeper into the story for all the details and ultimately attempting to answer the question, could this set the precedent for more persecution in America?
Ruslan.
All right, guys, we're going to be looking at this story. It is extremely interesting, and I have a takeaway point for all of us, including you, that may be unexpected. So I need you to watch until the very end to catch all of it. Let's jump right into this video. This is being covered on a couple different news outlets, specifically from relevant.com, and it's been covered all over Twitter and a bunch of people talking about it. Bloomington, Minnesota, Mall of America. I've actually been to this mall before. It's a huge, massive mall. They have a roller coaster inside, and I think it's the biggest mall in America. Security wants a Christian shirt to take it off or leave the mall. Let's check this out.
Okay, people have been offended.
So he's saying that the shirt that this man is wearing, it says Jesus Saves on the front. On the back, it has Coexists logo scratched out with Jesus over it. They're saying that this shirt is offensive and therefore he needs to take it off because it's promoting, or I guess trying to sell a type, like solicit a type of religion. That's kind of the logic here.
Like I said, all we were asking you is to take your shirt off. You can go to Macy's or we can leave. I didn't say anything though.
So he says, all we're asking you to do is take your shirt off, okay? And he says, I didn't say anything though. I mean, I'm not gonna get Mr. Conspiratorial on this one, but it sure does sound a lot like show us your papers, okay? And that's a bit spooky if I'm honest with you.
I didn't speak. I didn't speak. I didn't say anything.
So here is the shirt at the back, which says Jesus, and then it has the Coexist logo scratched out, is the only way, which I would say is a pretty W take if you ask me. Let's keep going.
What is wrong with my teeth? Again, sir, it is religious soliciting. There is no soliciting allowed on mall property, which is private property.
Jeez. He said it with his chest. It's religious soliciting. And so again, where is the line between religious soliciting and wearing a t-shirt? I got a t-shirt that says bless God. I got a different version of the shirt that says Yahshua's dream. Where do we draw that line between it being religious soliciting and just someone wanting to express their views, right? You got all kinds of weird death metal bands and all kinds of satanic imagery on all kinds of things, but someone wearing a neon green shirt that says Jesus Saves is considered religious soliciting. It seems a bit wild to me.
Okay. So again, we've had yes and no talks. Exactly. What is wrong with it off the shop, man? That's all we want. No, I'm serious. I know the Constitution. But you were last time I was here, they told me to leave for 24 hours. I did. Yes, that day I was preaching.
So it sounds like what happened is a different day he was preaching inside of the mall and people didn't know, or maybe he didn't know, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt, that he wasn't allowed to do that. He was asked to leave. And so today he's back, he hasn't said anything, and they're asking him to leave. I think what's happening here is I think they're trying to be preventative, but what it really looks like is that these mall cops are just completely having a power trip.
Yeah, I was preaching the gospel that day. Yeah. You're still soliciting. And again, yes, you're walking wearing that shirt in the form of soliciting, and we've had guests come up saying that they've been offended by your shirt.
Now that's a big womp. We have guests that say they've been offended by your shirt.
We've had guests come up and say you've been offended. So, like this gentleman just said too, take the shirt off and you can go shopping. That's simple.
Sir,
Or again, I will be forced to.
Okay. Outrage online. I automatically assumed this was overseas, but it's right here in America. W take. Somebody said, I'm not even a Christian, but this is crazy. A guy got kicked out of a mall of America for wearing a Jesus Save shirt. Saying he's soliciting just by wearing that shirt and he needs to take it off is unacceptable. And then someone else said, mall cop, aka discount Paul Blart asks man to take off his shirt before he can shop because his shirt is offending people. This is plain stupid. Now, I'm empathetic if someone's at the mall and they're being disturbing and they're just yelling at people and causing a ruckus and telling them to turn or burn. I can understand why a mall would not want that on their private property. Now, again, we don't have footage of what was happening the previous time he was there. And I think them attempting to preemptively quail that potentially happening again, I think is an L just for the way this looks. Because how this looks is some people are offended, therefore you need to show us your papers and take your shirt off, which is a wild thing to say to anyone, let alone a Christian who is, has a right to express himself however he wants to in this country as of right now. So that's the tension we're in. Now, again, I don't think Christians should be walking up into malls and being disruptive either. I don't think the jerks for Jesus movement is appropriate. I don't think that's okay either. But what I'm saying is this is definitely an overcorrection by some overzealous cops, small cops, who I think just completely fumbled in how they handled this situation. Now, what is the application point? Now, this is the part you guys are going to get offended, okay? This is the part you guys are going to get offended. Some people take the default position that the world is going to go to hell and Christians are going to get persecuted and everything is going to burn and then Jesus is going to come back. Other people take the position that Jesus is on the throne now, that Jesus is not the God of this world, but he's the God over this world. Psalms 24:1 says the earth is the Lord's and everything in it, the people and everyone in it. Jeremiah 29 talks about how we are to pray for the peace and the prosperity of the land that we are in. Jeremiah uses a lot of apocalyptic literature, and it's about the children of Babylon being exiled and how they should continue to flourish in Babylon, okay? Which if there's any parallel to Babylon in America, I think that's a fair one. So the application point to me, and this is my opinion, this isn't thus says it the Lord. I think the application point to me is I would hope that instead of us just throwing our hands up and checking out from the marketplace, checking out from culture, checking out from media, checking out, that we would do the opposite. I would hope that more of us would go into industries that maybe aren't exclusively Christian, maybe they're not a part of ministries, but that we would go out into the marketplace, into the world, to be in the world but not of the world, to help prevent stuff like this from happening. I'm not talking about going and becoming a mall cop, though I bet if there was somebody at this mall, which I would hope that someone at Mall of America in Middle America is a Christian, right? Somebody on that executive board, that stuff like this would get shut down, that you wouldn't be able to come down on Christians in this way. Why? Because ultimately, I believe it is the Lord's heart that everybody would come to faith in Jesus. That I believe that God's heart is for everyone to be saved, right? Not just religious people and Christians. And I think that is why Jesus came on a rescue mission, on this side of eternity, in the flesh, right? To live the life we couldn't live, to die the death we should have died on the cross. And then he rose and he commanded his followers to go and make disciples. Now, there are going to be times where we as the church, as the disciples, things are going to flourish. Things are going to be amazing. And there are other times where things are going to get dark. In Christendom, in church history, we've seen both. I don't know what the future holds for America, but what I don't want is us seeing stuff like this and checking out and going, the world's going to hell in a handbasket. I might as well just kick my feet up and do whatever I want. And right, that's not the heart either. And so my encouragement to you guys is, man, figure out what those things you want to do for your assignment on this side of eternity and press into those things so that we can continue contextualizing the gospel. I want to hear from you guys in the comment section. Let me know what you think about this, all right?